take a nostalgic trip back to 1960, where Eamon Andrews awaits to open the famous Red Book for This Is Your Life.
Tonight, This Is Your Life pays tribute to one of the great names of our generation. I wonder if you can recognize this small person who emerged from those Victorian curls to become world-renowned. Well, less than an hour ago, she was in a studio at Television Center, and as I walked along a corridor there, I could just hear her voice.
Suppose you're cunning, your meek and humble mouths. You sign your place and calling in full seeming with meekness and humility, but your heart is crammed with arrogancy, spleen, and pride.
Well, now, do you recognize that voice that has held audiences spellbound for over 60 years? I'm sure you do, but let's move on further.
Serve your will as please yourself pronounce that office. I must tell you, you tender more your person's honor than your high profession spiritual. But once again, I do refuse you for my judge, and here, before you all, appeal unto the Pope to bring my whole cause before His Holiness and to be judged by him.
Dame Sybil, that was wonderful. How are you?
Hello.
But beyond saying to you it was wonderful, at the request of your multitudes of admirers, I want to tell you that tonight, Dame Sybil Thorndike, this is your life.
Crikey.
You're not going to see it yet. The surprises are there. We've lots of questions waiting for you a little way down in the theater if you'll come and join us. Dame Sybil Thorndike, this is your life. For more than 60 years, a classical, tragedian, and mistress of domestic comedy, you've been one of the theater's greatest stars. Have been, did I say? You are, because tonight in London's Duke of York's Theatre, a crowded audience is waiting to see you star in Noel Coward's play, Waiting in the Wings. Another great name in the theater is presenting that play. He's here to open our story tonight. Come in, Sir Michael Redgrave. Sir Michael, would you tell me what productions have you and Dame Sybil acted in together?
Well, we, oddly enough, have hardly acted together at all because we were in 2 films, but we never met each other. In fact, I think this is the only time that a camera has descended on the 2 of us with one fell swoop. But we were on a platform together, if you remember once, when I was invited by the dramatic critics to talk to the critics' circle, and they suggested I needed someone stalwart to back me up. And you came and backed me up with a speech that must have sounded from one end of Fleet Street to the other. Anyway, it was never forgotten. And for that and for the reason that I am your latest manager, I'm so proud to be part of this tribute to you.
Thank you,
How
Sir Michael
wonderful of
Redgrave.
you to come.
Thank you.
Oh, what a surprise. It's gorgeous.
Well, daughter of a canon of Rochester, you spend your happy childhood in the Dickensian atmosphere of Minor Canon's Row. And as you listen to this music, one of your mother's favorite pieces, you dreamed of a future musical career. At 13, in a letter to your brother, you wrote, we have a copy here, Darling Russell, I'm now a pupil at the Guildhall School of Music. I wish there were nothing but Shakespeare and piano. I do loathe lessons, so unless to do with plays.
Did I say that?
You did.
Lord.
And before your first pianoforte recital, you looked very, very composed. But your promising career was... Your promising career was cut short through a wrist injury, which must have been very heartbreaking after all the hard work. But your astonishing resilience, which we all know so well now, you found in that just a determination, of course, to become a great actress. September 1903, you and your brother Russell join the famous Ben Greet's Academy, and you make your first professional appearance. On August 24th, the rest of you sailed for the USA, where you toured with them till 1907, learning over 112 parts, including Noises Off.
Jolly good noises off.
To revive memories of those years, we have found the only record in existence of the voice of that great Shakespearean actor, Ben Greet.
Oh,
I do much wonder that one man, seeing how much another man is a fool when he dedicates his behavior to love, will, after he hath laughed at such shallow follies in others, become the argument of his own scorn by falling in love.
You return home in 1907, and after a discouraging period out of work, you're chosen by George Bernard Shaw to understudy the name part in the spring tour of Canada. Whilst in Manchester, you write again to your brother. Again, we know what you wrote. Darling Russ, I've seen a man I could marry. His name is Casson, Louis Casson. And he's in a repertory company called Miss Horniman's at the Gaiety. I saw his photo outside the theater this morning, and I thought, now that's a nice face. I like that man.
I'm very glad of that.
Somebody's glad to hear it. The man you married on December 2nd, 1908. Come in, Sir Louis Casson, MC.
oh, you brute! Well, what a deceiver! Louis.
After that, I don't know whether I should ask you this question, but I'm going to persist in asking you, Sir Louis. Could you tell us where you spent your honeymoon?
Well, that's a long time ago, isn't it? We'd spent every Sunday...
No, honeymoon.
We spent every Sunday during our engagement tramping the moors of Derbyshire, so we thought we'd do it again. But when we got there, we found it was under a foot of snow. So we had to do our tramping through all the snowdrifts, talking our heads off, and arguing as we always have done and always do.
Would you mind telling us what you argue about?
Ooh. Well, I suppose then it was nearly always about the theatre. We were very enthusiastic about the new theatre that was coming into being, with Shaw and Granville Barker and Gilbert Murray and Masefield and all the Irish writers and everything. But we would also talked about politics. Votes for women were very fashionable then. And anything that interested us.
Now, your marriage has lasted happily 52 years. Have there been any difficulties in that time in combining two great careers in the theatre and home life?
No, I don't think so.
I'm a jolly good cook, aren't I?
Well, we've been very lucky that nearly all our work has been together. All our work and all our travels have been together. And I think possibly maybe we've had a very happy time because we've been, I think, more interested in the other one's career than in our own, and more interested in the work than in anything else. And I think that's and we've had a very happy family life with all the 4 very fine children and 10 grandchildren, and we love each other.
Oh,
Thank you, Louis. You haven't said that to me for a long time.
Well, that's what This Is Your Life does. And after a brief honeymoon, you both returned to Miss Horniman's Repertory Company. During the following 6 years, you continue increasing your reputation with numerous memorable performances. With the First World War, your husband joins up, and then for 4 years, you're a member of the late Lillian Baylis's Old Vic. In fact, you founded it with Ben Greet. And it's here, because of the wartime shortage of actors, you also play numerous men's parts. You remember, or I wonder if you will remember, a talented, skinny little 7-year-old actress.
Oh, dear. I wish I could play a girl for a change.
From the Old Vic in 1916, Agnes Carter, now Natalie Kent.
Gosh. Oh, dear. Such a little thing.
Well, that sounded very, very plaintive, Natalie. Did you ever succeed in playing the part of a girl?
Never.
But she was jolly good what she did do.
Thank you. But once, you know, I thought I was going to get the chance. We did an old melodrama, a charity matinee. In this, there were 3 children's parts, you see. There were 2 little girls, 1 little boy. But did I play the boy? No. They were both played by your 2 small sons.
Little Bruce.
Yes, and I played the boy.
4.
Oh. You had 4 little children then, didn't you?
Yep.
All under 6. You still found time to worry about me. You thought I was too thin. You used to take me down to Waterloo Road to a cafe.
Yes.
Give me steak and kidney pudding.
Oh, they were good.
They were, weren't they?
But so cheap. Only 1 and 8.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. Onwards now to 1924, a great milestone in your career. George Bernard Shaw writes St. John's for you. You've held audiences spellbound in over 800 performances of this, one of the world's greatest characterizations. In 1931, for your services at the theatre, you're made a dame of the British Empire. 1938, you do another play with which you will always be associated. Your co-star and old friend in that production is unfortunately abroad, but he filmed a greeting to you. Emlyn Williams.
Dear Sybil, it would have broken my heart not to have been a part of this. And as I talk to you both sitting there, I'm reminded of so many things. And oddly enough, the thing that I'm reminded of most is our first meeting. And I don't think even you, with your memory, remember it. It was in 1925. You and Lewis were playing in the Lie at Wyndham's 8 times a week, very hot summer. Most people have been content with that, but no, you had to be killing time by doing a flying matinee of Medea in Oxford, in the open air, at my college on the steps of the library. The performance was, of course, thrilling to me beyond words, but what I remember most is afterwards when you were packing up to catch this train, which you had about 2 minutes to do to get back for the evening show, a wonderfully professional way in which you both packed up your things in a suitcase, and you were tearing across the quad to catch this taxi which was waiting for you. And I remember hearing the great voice of Medea as she turned and said, "Lewis, the thermos, quick." And as I watched you disappear around the corner, I thought, I'd love to be going with them, and I was rather like a dog that's been left behind. But you didn't really leave me behind, because 13 years later, when you were playing at the Vic with Larry, do you remember, in Coriolanus, I sent you a play, and it suddenly occurs to me that I've never really thanked you, certainly not in public, for what you did for me and for the Corners Green, and I think this is a good chance to do it. The part called for an actress who could portray a good and great woman with a sense of humor. And I think you know, Lewis, as we all do, that the part was wonderfully played for the simple reason that not only was it a fine actress, but it was played by a good and great woman with a sense of humor. My dear love to you both.
Thank you, Emlyn Williams. Thank you. 1940-42, another world war, you undertake the arduous task of touring the mining villages of Wales with Macbeth, Medea, and Candida. In Trailer, a small village in the Rhondda Valley, you go into the local post office. Don't know if you remember the post office, clearly you probably don't. It's a long time ago. But
What place?
I'm not going to pronounce it again
you
because I
can't
mispronounce it. But the postmistress there never forgets you. We found her again in Eichstätt, where she is now a sub-postmistress. Come in, Miss Annie Jones.
Miss Anne Astrid Gunlass. Astrid Gunlass. I
Well, now, Miss Jones, what production do you remember seeing Dame Sybil in?
Macbeth. She played Lady Macbeth. And one of the witches too, Iman. She was wonderful. Really.
And it was surprising for you to have someone like that come along.
It
too.
was to visit us at the mining village of Meiserhav Trialo Drama Club.
Oh, yes, Meiserhav.
Things
Yes,
were very
Trialo.
difficult then, weren't they?
Yes, between the blackouts and the difficulty of transport, we didn't see many shows then. And you were so charming. Oh. And so friendly. When you came to the post office with your husband, it did us a lot of good, really.
Thank you, Miss Annie
Oh,
Jones.
God bless you. Goodbye. Bless you. Oh, I remember your picture of his
In the spring of 1944, you tour the Shetlands and Orkneys in dramatic poetry recitals, and in the August appear in a memorable production of Peer Gynt.
Mother, I'm going to put you on the roof.
The words belong to Peer Gynt, but the voice of your co-star, Sir Ralph Richardson.
Oh!
Sir Ralph, was this the first time that you had played with Dame Sybil?
Oh, no,
No,
Peer
no,
Gynt
no,
wasn't
no.
the first time we played together. Not by any means. But the first time we did play together, Sybil, I was in great awe of you because I was one of the lucky ones that did see you as St. Joan, and I was in awe of such concentrated emotion that you showed us all by your splendid acting. When we did play together at the Old Vic, as I was going down to the stage for the first night, I thought I'd like to wish you good luck, and I thought I'd just tap on her door. And then maybe I thought maybe I hesitated, I shouldn't. Maybe she'd think it was cheek. Maybe the great actress was winding up her emotional forces before going on and would be furious at being disturbed. However, I made up, and I did give a little tap on your door, and there was no answer. And I tapped again a little louder, and your voice called out, "Come in." And I entered, and there was Sybil 5 minutes before the first night in her dressing room, surrounded by 15 school children to whom she was giving autographs and chocolates. And to me she said, "Oh, Ralph, darling, good luck, and she kissed me on both cheeks.
Oh, you
Thank you, Sir Ralph Richardson. Well, there's no end to your versatility. You play the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland at the Scala Theatre in 1943, doing performances daily at 11 o'clock and 2:30.
Just put your feet into third position, please, Dame Sybil.
That's the man who taught a dame to fly at 61, like Peter Pan. Come in, Joseph Kirby.
Oh! Getting me in the harness. Hello. How nice to see you.
Mr. Kirby, did you find it difficult teaching Dame Sybil?
No, she was much better than some of the youngsters.
Oh!
Why was that?
Well, she concentrated.
Well, but when you
And you
lifted
did
me
as
up...
I told you.
Oh,
Was she afraid at all?
Not a bit.
I've always wanted to fly.
How did you go about teaching her?
Well, my daughter fixed the harness on her in the dressing room, and then she came onto the stage. I asked her if she would stand in the third position like that, and she did so.
What have I done?
I said, "Don't jump. Please go slowly." And she sailed away into the air.
And then you pulled me up off the table, didn't you? Oh,
Thank you, Joseph
wonderful.
Kirby. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
July 1943, you're acclaimed for your notable performances as Mrs. Dundas in Lottie Dundas at the Vaudeville Theatre.
Put your arms around me, Mother. You and me, lovely.
Lottie Dundas herself. Come in, Anne Todd.
My dear, it's the biggest surprise I've ever had in my life.
Tell me, Anne, what do you remember of Lottie Dundas?
Mr. Wood, do you remember when my nose bled?
Oh, yes.
When did that happen?
Oh,
It was one night just before we started, and it was frightening, but I had to
Keen.
play...
Yes,
Yes, and I had to play a scene with her, you see. And, well, I said in the end, now, Sybil came to the rescue right away and said, "You've said my line now."
I should have.
I'll put some keys down your back and I'll plug your nose with cotton wool. Pray, and let's get going. That's what you said.
And did it go all right?
Yes, it went all right. But I'll always remember, you know, that playing with Sybil, I really felt that she was my mum. I dearly loved her. Sybil, do you remember that hat you had? Straw hat with flowers on it.
Yes, my dear.
You came to
what
my
a-
dressing room one night and you said, "Anne, do you think this is too young?" And I said, "Of course not. Nothing would be too young for you." But But I think I've grown Aunt Louis for quite short.
It was
And
too young, must be young.
As far as you were concerned, Anne, Lottie Dundas was, in a way, a turning point of your own career.
Yes, Lottie was my first big star part, and I couldn't have done it without your help. You were really wonderful to me.
Oh, you
And
were
then after
wonderful,
that
yes.
came the seventh veil, and
Yes.
I remember when you went to see the film, you didn't write the usual letter, congratulations. You and Louis jumped into a taxi and dashed back to my house to tell me how much you loved it. And I've never
Yes, I
forgotten
know.
that. Just like you both.
Thank you, Anne.
Darling,
Todd.
darling.
Thanks.
Oh, you-
1945, you toured Germany, Belgium, and France, and also appeared at the Comédie Française, adding greatly to the prestige of the English theatre. Now, here's the voice of a little girl who was 10 when you visited Auckland, New Zealand. Her name is Deirdre O'Connor.
Hello, Aunt Sybil. This is Deirdre speaking to you from Auckland, bringing you greetings from all of us in New Zealand.
You visited a leper colony on an island outside Hong Kong. Here now is a greeting from a member of the staff, Mrs. Irene Hanford.
You walked amongst us and talked to us and gave us such pleasure and encouragement. We shall never, never forget it. Do you remember the children's play with the broken mirror and how you clapped our little Chinese actors? We send you our fondest greetings, Dame Sybil. Come back and see us again one day.
And from a boys' home near Kuala Lumpur, a greeting from Tan Hiam Hock.
Hello, Dame Sybil Thorndike. On behalf of the staff and pupils of the Sungai BC Boys School Malaya, let me say selamat or greetings to you. Many staff and pupils recall your 1955 visit to this school with great delight. We look forward to meeting you in Malaya, and let me say selamat again.
India, you sit by the Taj Mahal with your husband and your dear friend Raj Kumari out at Kaur, one of India's most distinguished women legislators, who sends another greeting to you.
How I wish we could have the chance of another visit from you, dear friend. Those who met and heard you still speak with admiration of your wonderful expositions of the great literary geniuses, in particular of Shakespeare, who, as you know, is greatly beloved in India. How can she and her husband conjure up so vividly a scene from Shakespeare or an incident from a Greek tragedy without any aid of scenery or costume? It is quite remarkable. This is what student after student of the Delhi University and others who had the privilege of seeing your performances were heard to say again and again.
Thank you, Madam Carr.
She's the most wonderful woman, the most wonderful woman.
Now, Dame Sybil, I want you to look for a moment, if you will, at a photograph of yourself in a part of Aunt Anna Rose in Treasure Hunt. Many thousands admired your playing of that part and admired, too, that magnificent piece of millinery.
Nobody except Sybil could wear that hat.
Your director in that production, come in, Sir John Gielgud. Sir John, when did you first meet Dame Sybil?
She won't remember it, but it was when I was a student at the academy. It must have been 1922. And Sybil came and gave 5 rehearsals of Medea with us. And she showed us how she played her part and showed us how to play ours. And I remember in that difficult part of Jason, how she said to me, play it like a Shaw character, perhaps a touch of Sergius, which was very illuminating. And when I directed the play years afterwards in America, I tried to remember what she told me. She influenced so very much what I felt about the play, and I was so thrilled to have ever worked with her in it.
And you have, in fact, produced her in several productions, haven't you, Sir John?
Yes, indeed. The time we spent at the Haymarket Theatre, Dame Sybil, Sir Lewis, Sir Ralph, and I, for a whole year, was one of the happiest plays and companies I've ever worked with in my life.
Thank you, Sir John Gielgud. Sir John was one of many distinguished stars who played parts in your life, and it's only right to remember your very first leading man. At the time, he was 6 years old. Your brother, actor, author, and playwright Russell Thorndike.
Russell, you really not you told me about this. I know, don't you tell that.
Are you trying to get away
very much, Willie.
Well, now, Russell, from those first nursery productions with a cast of two, you and your sister, there have been many other Thorndike productions, haven't there?
Oh, yes, many. So, darling, if you look up at the box there, you'll see some of them. Mary.
Right up there.
Right up there. Elizabeth.
Wait!
Laura Jane.
Oh,
Jill. Catherine. Katie. Lucy.
look at them all.
Nicky and Chris.
Well, the Thorndike tradition is certainly safe for many years to come, isn't it?
Oh, how wonderful.
And today, the great Thorndike castle tradition is spread across the world. You're going to see all them later on. But here is the voice of your son, John, in Australia.
It's no use my saying, come and settle down here, because settling down is a phrase you've never heard of. Give my love to all my family. All of you must come back to Melbourne soon. Love to you and my father, and bless you both.
Your son, Chris, of course, is playing in Dublin's Abbey Theatre. Your daughter, Anne, is at the Stratford Festival Theatre in Ontario, Canada. But here are our children on film, 4 of your 10 grandchildren, to speak to you. If you watch this.
Hi, Granny. I'm very glad to be able to talk to you. I wish I could see your new play, and I wish you could have seen us in A Midsummer Night's Dream. The audiences were big, and I played Cobweb.
And I played First Oberon Ferry. They kept us working pretty hard all through the summer, but I still had time to get around on my bike. And I'm still collecting stamps very keenly. If you have any, will you please send them to me, Granny?
Oh, dear. I go through now, Granny. Hello, Granny. Sorry Mommy can't be with you. She's at the theater. So goodbye for now.
That comes from Ontario. They said that your daughter Anne was at the theatre. She was, but not the theatre in Ontario, the theatre here in London tonight, Anne Casson.
How did you manage it? It's a surprise for you. Oh, darling. Oh, but you're in Canada. Oh, Dudley is looking after the kids.
You'll be able to work all that out later.
I'll see you later. Oh, another one.
Now, Anne, I know that you, too, of course, like your mother, have played St. Joan when your father produced it at the King's Hammersmith. And would you like to tell us what particular quality you feel that your mother had that inspired Bernard Shaw to write that famous part for her?
Well, I don't know. I think it was perhaps because he saw Joan as a strong, independent peasant with a deep religious faith which made her dare anything for what she believed in. And I think he recognized some of that quality in Mummy.
And during your mother's tours abroad, you must have had to spend long periods away from her.
Yes, but when we got into our teens, Mother used to take us around with her quite a lot. I don't know, she always seemed to be around to help us to cope, too.
An Africa? Oh, yes. Oh, all right.
Dame Sybil, you've been an ambassador of all the great works of literature all over the world, while retaining, as we see, all the warm center of your family. Dame Sybil Thorndike, this is your life.
Oh, how wonderful.